places in Arizona when you don't have ID. Adios, amigos.
Doesn't require someone to be arrested. A police officer can stop you because you look like you might not be here legally.
Well, as we know, no one believes in racial profiling. I clearly don't believe in racial profiling.
But the Arizona law permits it.
Absolutely not. You know, it says you cannot do that. So, but if you read the Arizona law, what it says is if you are stopped for violating the law, and they have they have a suspicion that you're illegal, they can ask you if you're legal. That's what it says. If I ever get stopped,
well,
I'm going to ask.
You're white with blonde hair and blue eyes, but would you want to be pulled over and asked, are you legal?
I believe that if you're violating our laws and you're here illegally, all right, you shouldn't be here. We're a country of laws.
Do you seriously want to risk Florida's tourism industry for what some would argue is a fascist immigration law?
Absolutely not. What we should be doing is we should push the federal government to enforce our borders, have a legal immigration policy, but if you're here illegally and you're stopped for doing something wrong, you should be deported.
And getting back to this Arizona immigration law real quick, it's been called a radical measure by lots of folks. Is it not risky to bring what some call a radical approach to a state? And is it not risky to invite alienating folks on whose visiting, whose tourism we depend here in Florida? That's what we butter our bread in Florida with tourism. Why would you invite folks boycotting Florida over what's been called a fascist law?
Just because someone says that doesn't mean that's the truth. The truth is we are a country of laws. This is a great state to live in, and we want to live here because people comply with the law. This is simply complying with the law. It's common sense.
Our civil advocacy project. Rick Scott's proposed immigration law that he wants to seriously bring here, and he just won the government elect. So
this nation is based on immigrants, and who are we to turn away immigrants?
Alright, so let's explain the Arizona law. I mean, it's pretty long and it's...
Okay, so first of all, Rick Scott's comment to that...
CBS4?
Yeah, CBS4, that if you are already arrested and if you are suspected to be illegal, that's false, because in the bill it clearly states that
if you look illegal
and there's reasonable suspicion that the person is an alien, then they can make an attempt to
arrest you
or detain you and then deport you eventually. So he was wrong. Be transferred immediately to the custody of United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement or the United States Customs and Borders.
When we were protesting, like, everyone was against Rick Scott, which was pretty surprising. I mean, like, the state voted for him to win, so it was really weird.
A letter to Governor-elect Rick Scott, and we wrote, our names are
4th, I believe, and he didn't respond.
Talk about the letter.
So, the wet foot, dry foot policy states that once you're on dry land, Cubans are allowed to become citizens, but they don't exactly have their papers, so this might cause some controversy with that. And also, Florida is known to be a very tourist state, as stated by the CBS4 correspondent. So that might cause some controversy with that as well. I mean, when we were protesting, it was... I mean,
there were a bunch of immigrants we talked to. We saw immigrants from Europe and Central America.
Yeah. And there was a rally or protest that was next to us about the war in Afghanistan. And when we told him what we were protesting about, he was like, wow, we're going to totally back you up with this, because that is obviously absurd to have a law on immigrants, you know, and obviously...
regards to Arizona-style immigration policies here in Miami. I think it's racism, pure and simple. America was a nation built on immigrants, and it is ridiculous to be targeting people just because they look like they're immigrants, which is certainly what would happen if we had these kind of policies here. So I'm definitely opposed to any kind of Rick Scott's proposals for Arizona-style.
A lot of these politicians, they have good intentions with these laws, like they want the best for the country, but they've forgotten what our country was based upon, It's like we're the land of immigrants, bring me you're tired, you're hungry, and they say these things, but we make these laws and we forget all that, and it's really important to remember what we're based upon, a land of immigrants and people who are looking for refuge, A lot of people, these immigrants, would look at the Statue of Liberty when they're coming here and find like hope, And it's just, we can't forget that. We're people too. It's average worker or your immigrant doesn't make us inferior to anybody, that we should not be allowed into this country. I understand the argument that it's illegal, to have an immigrant, but with the law itself, you can't just look at somebody and be able to determine whether or not they're an immigrant, because then that's like, it's going to be based on the person who's doing the arrest, personal opinion, and that shouldn't be, it should be like a factual thing. You can't just stop people off in the street, because what if the cop has a racial preference and decides to give a certain looking individual, a hard time just because, he's a darker skin or he has a certain style of hair. I think it's ridiculous. I was born here and I have a Cuban and Honduran parent. My dad, like 30 years ago, he literally was on a homemade raft and came here through the night, and you hear all these jokes about that, but it's the same thing. He sought refuge here, and my mom came from Honduras after she met my dad in Cuba to come here.
No, I don't agree with the Arizona law. I think that that law in particular opens up a big door for things like racial profiling. So I don't agree with the law. I do agree though that there needs to be a reform to our immigration laws, because it's true that we do have a lot of people crossing the border, and I do think that we need to resolve the immigration issue, their statuses, or we just need to take a look into that law. I just don't think it's constructed the right way.
Were you an immigrant at one point, too?
Yes, I was. Up until 2000, May 2005, I was officially illegal here. Mm-hmm. And then, actually before that, my mom got deported a couple times. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years before that. And then there was a temporary protection status. I did the TPS. And we went under that law that allowed us to apply for legal residency here in the United States, and we did. It was, I don't remember why it was that it got approved or the specifics about it, but we did we were able to go under that umbrella and become legal residents. So in 2000, I became a legal resident here, and then just a few months ago, I became a citizen. There needs to be a better oversight over immigration. Mm-hmm. But I have extreme laws like the one at Arizona, which I feel like that law was created simply as a ultimate resort. Or like an act of desperation. I think it was just done. I don't think it was thought of more in terms of how we could help the situation, instead of just kind of like cutting off something that's coming in, and not kind of like making it just illegal, get out of the way, and then, but not dealing with the actual issue, which is we do have a lot of people coming in, and these people do work, and if they were to work, and if they were to be given some kind of legal status, they might be able to, pay their taxes, which is like a big, issue, that why this law was supposed to, is so important, and why it should be enacted is, these immigrants come, they take jobs, for the people that live here, Americans that live here, American citizens, when in reality, American citizens will never do those jobs. Second, they say, oh well, you know, we have these people coming in. They work, you know, they work for low budgets. They don't pay taxes. Well, you don't pay taxes because if you don't have a legal, you know, an alien number, then what's the point of paying taxes? You know, you get paid very little, and you're not going to get taxes back if you're illegal. You know, so it doesn't make sense for them to pay the taxes if they don't have a legal status. So, you know, I feel like that law doesn't address those issues. Like, one, you know, they don't commit to take the jobs that people don't want. People just don't want those jobs. A person who graduates from college is not going to go out into the fields and pick up strawberries the whole day under the sun, you know, or jobs like that. Or, you know, they're not going to go and work at a restaurant as a busboy because they have a degree. They're not going to do it. And other various jobs. I mean, obviously there's other jobs that they might do that, you know, they you know, that might be taking over. But I just feel like the majority of the jobs that they would do, people here in the United States who are of legal status would probably want something better. I just feel like it's too rash. And it actually, because of the fact that it's so rash, it allows for specifics about a particular ethnicity to be pulled out and then, you know, lead to things like racial profiling. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And say your name, please.
Hazel Lopez.
Thank you.
Pueden parar y decir
y deportar,
que
no tienen los papeles en el momento. El tipo, Rick Scott, lo quiere traer acá a Florida.
Y ya
Queremos
ha
saber
sido
su
elegido
opinión.
para el gobierno.
¿Ustedes quieren saber cuál es mi opinión? Sí,
Sí.
es para un proyecto de respuesta.
Rick Scott wants to bring the Arizona law here. Say no. Say no to Arizona here. We're gone.
He's climbing through your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So you'll need to hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife.